Hello everyone, in this video, in the previous video actually, we created this array here and we showed you how to, see out individually by, r 1, r with index 2, index 0, and how you could actually access the data stored in an array. Okay, now this is an array of integers. If I were to actually add in a string, okay, and actually run the program, you'll see it gives us an error because an array cannot store different data types. All the data types have to be the same. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3 now, and these are all integers. So in order to have string, I would have to change this to string. So we're gonna leave it to integer for now for simplicity. Now, if I were to have an array that's a bit longer, say maybe 5, 6, 7, 8, in machine learning and these type of like when you have real world applications, you have arrays that are really long. You have basically data sets. If you look at databases, you have MongoDB that relies on JSON packets to store data, JSON like structures, and JSON like structures are like long. Basically it's just like the same syntax, except for it has a key as well. This is just one value. JSON has a key, so something like index 1 would be, so you would go in and index 1 and you'd get the value. So index 1 would be something like name, 2 would be called maybe surname, and the actual value stored as surname. So basically the point is, we're not learning JSON here, but the thing is that it's long and it would be extremely inefficient and unreliable if you were to actually index or access going one by one here. Okay, 0, 1, 2, 3 like that, actually copy pasting this. So is there any solution, any possible solution that we can invent that, I mean, instead of saying 0, 1, 2, 3 and incrementing all the way up till something, by copy pasting and incrementing all these indexes, is there a way that a much more efficient way that we can use to access the indexes of the loop, or the values, the elements of the loop? Sorry, not the loop. Yeah, I gave my answer away. Essentially, we're gonna use a loop. The loop was just stuck in my mind, so I was actually unconsciously saying it. We're gonna use a loop. Okay, so before we actually use a loop, just have a look at this 0, 1, 2, 3. So this tells you that we can actually use a loop because these are being incremented. So what type of loop, by the way? Well, we can do it with a for loop, but then a better approach would be a for loop. We can do it using a while loop, sorry, but a better approach would be a for loop. So we're going to use a for loop for int I is equal to 0, and we start it always at 0. The reason is because the first index is 0. We can start it at 100 even, but go for 0 because the first index is 0. So that's what it is. Now we're going to say I is not equal to, and what's the length of the array? 3. Okay, 3, but actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, is that 5? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we have to make an array for 11, and I'm going to say while it's not equal to 11, I plus plus. Okay, so we have this loop and see out array, and instead of putting a 0, by the way, you can actually put in brackets like that, but since it's only one line after the loop, it will not give us a syntax error. So you can actually put an I there and endl. Now if we actually iterate through this loop, then you're going to see that it actually spits out all of these values inside of the array. Alright, so simple, isn't it? I mean, I is equal to 0, so it's going to firstly it's going to see out I the first element, which is at index 0. So I is equal to 0, is going to see I is 0, so it's going to first put 0 into there. So it's going to spit out the 1, then it's going to go back to the loop, it's going to increment I to 2. Now I is 2, is going to come into the loop, it's going to make I 2. Now actually not 2, 1, sorry. So it's going to get this index there, then it's going to come into here and it's going to increment I again, and then now I is going to be 3. Once I is actually 3, then it's gonna look why am I going 3? It should be 2 actually, sorry. So this is 0, this is 1, this is 2. So at the second index 3 is located, so it's gonna look at 3 and it's gonna spit out 3. So that's what it is. That's how this loop looks like. I mean, how you can actually, iterate through a loop. And a for loop is a better approach because you use usually for loops when you want to iterate through a known number of times, or like an object. Okay, when you want to iterate through an object like a list or an array or something like that, then you would use a for loop, not a while loop. Alright, so yeah, that's how it is, iterations towards two iterations of a loop.